So we're going to talk about the chosen one because really, honestly, it's too many people are going for that. It is so insane to me. The last thing we want to do is feed our ego, and the false ego gets enough coddling and gets enough false bolsters that really aren't fair. And I'm sorry about my throat. I've been really kind of dealing with. Oh, good. I was going to text you just now, Jen, on my computer. I was logging in to let you know. Okay, so I'm waiting for some people to come on. The subject today is you are the chosen one, right? People love that. They love that. You see, just look at the world right now. That term is not good for the ego. It isn't, period. I'm sorry. As souls, we are not the chosen one. Please stop saying that about yourself. Only because this feeds your ego, and we're not trying to feed your ego. We're trying to feed your soul. Okay? We don't want to feed your ego. That's a dangerous beast to feed. And it is a beast. The ego, the false ego, is going to make you do some stupid moves. And let me tell you how dangerous the monkey mind, aka false ego, can be. It will drive people to commit suicide, okay? So there you go. That's a choice. It's the ego. It's not the soul doing that, because the soul would never do that. The soul's not geared to self-destruct. It doesn't want that. You can have soul pain, like the pain of your soul knowing that there's a contract that's being broken and it wasn't agreed upon, like, for example, separation. Okay, you're so sweet. Thank you. Jen says, oh my God, I was hoping you would discuss this. Anyone know about the general strike? I'm not doing that yet. Excuse me for doing this with my throat. I am so sorry. So let me explain to you, maybe it will help you, how I came into moving into my mission. And I'm hoping outside is nice and cool and fresh air so I can. But anyway, when I began my journey, which my journey in spirituality began a long time ago, as you all know. But I was not prepared to work on my mission until I stopped feeding the ego. Until I realized I was a conduit. Once I realized I was a conduit, sorry, I realize it's really loud outside. Once I realized I was a conduit, and that's what I bolstered my whole confidence and my whole understanding of my mission, then it became less about me and all about being the most, humble, surrendered, that's a surrendered ego as possible. You know? Oh, thank you, Andromeda Flame. Hi, the book is amazing. I'm really glad to hear that. Andromeda is talking about my book I wrote called Recall, about a Mesopotamian queen and a conqueror. And it goes in between 1997 during the Y2K conversion and conqueror who's her twin flame. 333, 9, perfect number. Can't make this shit up. So when you tell yourself, because I just had somebody actually make a comment, hi Becca, that said, it's hard to be the chosen one. Well, newsflash, there's no such thing as choosing. No one chose us in the way that you think. Just close your eyes right now. Imagine there's 8 billion light beings, 8 billion. And they're all on the other side of the veils. And the call from source is, who will go in and be awakened and be my legion of light bringers and healers? Who will be part of this legion of light bearers and teachers and healers and alchemists and so forth? Who will come? And we step forward. We step forward. Not all 8 billion step forward. We stepped forward. While many souls chose not to incarnate and they fell back. We chose ourselves. We stepped forward. We weren't chosen. because we have free will. You see, you got to wrap your head around that one. We have free will. However you slice it, it's a double-edged sword. We can say no at any point, anytime. In fact, people do. They say no to all kinds of things. They say no to winning. I'm not joking. There are people who actually don't want to win. What does that mean, winning? Being fully awakened. Allowing abundance to come to you. Allowing your mission to unfold before every step you take. And saying yes to every step that is revealed. We chose ourselves. And Source smiled on us when we stepped forward. Source, God, smiled upon us when we step forward. It's like a good parent who looks at their child who makes the right choice. We chose ourselves. We volunteered. We were not chosen. No one pointed to us and said, you are a royal bloodline on the spiritual realm, being a starseed, and I anoint you. No, that's not how it went down. That's false ego. And when you feed the false ego, you feed a ravenous beast. Ravenous. And it is a beast. It's like a 4-year-old with tantrums. It's not good. And 4-year-olds can turn into sociopaths, adults. You don't want to feed that animal. There are 2 wolves. Remember the story of the 2 wolves? There's the white wolf and the black wolf. One wolf is filled with desires and lust and ignorance and greed and anger. And the white wolf only wants one thing. Well, the energy of that embodies love, peace, and abundance. One thing. Feed the white wolf, because when you feed rhetorics like, I am the chosen one, it's hard to be the chosen one. I feel really, it's so intense. Dude, you were badass. You said, I'm fucking in. Yeehaw, I'm in. And that's what we have to understand. And you need to start spreading that word. When people say I'm the chosen one, fucking slap that ego back. You're not slapping them back. Do it gently. I'm not gentle. Because we don't have time for bullshit. And this is bullshit. I'm the chosen one. I was chosen above all other people who are asleep. I was the chosen one. Nope. And here's the thing. What's interesting is everyone's ignition to wake up is on a different timeline. Do you understand? It's like passing the baton. We can't judge people who are asleep right now because we don't know. Because I can tell you, I've met people who woke up in February of this year and they are like ravenous, reading books, catching up. They're reading fucking 10 years in 1 year. I'm not joking. They're reading. When they're awake, they're reading. They're going to work. They're listening to all kinds of books on Audible or Spoken True, whatever the hell the other audio company is, which I actually love. Forgot. Sounds True. Okay? They are like on a race to catch up. There are people you would have never thought in a million freaking years, never, who have come out awakened, because all of us know. Why do we all know? Because we have souls, and if you have a soul, you know. The ego is the problem. The ego is your jailer. And fear is your jailer. And fear is ego-based because the soul isn't afraid. Soul doesn't give a shit. You jump off a 5-story building, it doesn't give a shit. It knows it's immortal. The ego's job is to say, maybe this is not a good idea. Have you ever seen like these young kids that decide to become Icarus for one day off the roof of their house? And so they build wings and they jump off the roof and break a leg. Yeah, the ego was not, the ego had a malfunction because, there's these kids out there that are fearless, like my son, he's one of them. Fearless, fucking just wild, okay? But the ego says, do you realize you're going 200 miles an hour going a winding mountain road in pitch dark and it's raining? That's where the ego is necessary. But aside from that, excuse me for constantly my throat chakra. Yeah, the wizard, this is for you. I was doing this for you. The ego cannot be allowed. You cannot cater and coddle the ego. Don't do that. And when you say, I am the chosen one, you have just jailed yourself into the pretentiousness of the false ego. I'll repeat myself because I'm not sure when Wizard stepped in, because this is actually alive for him. And so let me repeat. So close your eyes, Wizard, because this was for you, and I'm glad you caught up. Close your eyes. There's 8 billion light beings on the other side of the veils. Okay? And we have been called by Source to come into this shit show we're all enjoying, called this planet right now in 3D at this point, on the doorsteps of the Aquarian age. And the call was, this is going to be a hell of a life. It's going to have a lot of twists and turns, and your downloads are going to be challenged, and you're going to be afraid, and you're not going to remember who you are, and you're not going to have the support you would have if you stayed behind. Who wants to come in? We weren't chosen, and many of us stepped forward, and many stepped back and went, yeah, I'm not going in there, fuck that, not doing that. We volunteered. We were not chosen because we have free will, and Source, God, smiled upon us. For those of us who step forward, knowing fully, consciously, not every rip and turn that we would take, not every detail, but we kind of knew what we signed up for, okay? And we volunteered in spite of it, in spite of the dark night of the souls that would take us, in spite of the twin flame activation, in spite of being starseeds, bereft, feeling like fish out of water, literally flopping on the land of this land, and trying to develop gills to breathe in this kind of constraining, dense energy. I love this planet. Again, I say that a lot. I love this planet. It's not the planet that's the problem. It's the people, the infrastructure. Planet's fine. It's the infrastructure. So, Wizard, I'm so glad you're here, because I honor you, because there's some false rhetorics that have been thrown around, bandied around, and through Bibles and different types of the chosen one. No, fuck that. No, we're badasses. We're warriors. We're shamans. We're light warriors, and we volunteered, and that's what makes it so fantastic, stupendous. I mean, think about it. It's we're like heroes in the making, and now I can feed your ego, because that is true. We are heroes. There are people right now that are volunteering to go for fucking Gaza, knowing that they may not come out alive. That's hero stuff. That's hero stuff. We also are here, bereft, without our tribe members, seeking to find, howling like lost lone wolves in the Everglades, looking for our pack. And some of us have found your pack. Some of us have found our tribe, our lost tribe members. Some of them are still on the other side of the veils, guiding us and mentoring us. And some of us are boots on the ground, incarnated in these blood and flesh, bones, and, vehicles, if you will, temples, if you like. Okay? So when you feed the chosen one rhetoric, you feed your ego. And when you feed your ego, you now will actually suffer the consequences of feeding your ego, which is, as I said before, a very ravenous beast that is, if you let it go unhandled, it creates people who take their lives. That's the false ego doing that. That's the monkey mind that creates people to say, fuck it, I'm out, and harm themselves. That's the false ego. So do you really want to feed that? Is that what you want to feed? Or do you want to grow the power and light and the flame that is absolutely the most unbelievable force of nature, that can co-create things that are unimaginable and yet can, and to be housed in these 3D dense bodies as our quote unquote junk DNA are activated to allow this growth of the spirit to be ignited in 3D. Do you understand? So That's why for some, taking medicine is so beautiful. You know what I mean? For some, they need, in fact, that's what happened to the hippie generation. Unfortunately, we're taking, I'm not a big fan of LSD, only because it doesn't have a spirit behind it, unlike ayahuasca and bufo and St. Pedro. These have like a spirit. And psilocybin, it's a spirit. There's actually the energy of the spirit that embodies these plant medicines. I don't like things made in labs because there's no embodiment. It's more like hallucinations. My humble opinion. Okay? It's my humble opinion. But it helped the hippie generation crack the 3D codes, and they were the first ones. They were the indigo children. I don't know why people say they were born in the 60s and 70s. No, they were born in the some of them were born in the 1920s, believe it or not. So, so my point to the chosen one rhetoric is rejected like a dog, shakes fleas off its butt. Okay, it's not going to help you. It's only feeding your ego. The minute you know your ego is being fed, you ought to run. Anybody that says that shit to you isn't a spiritualist, because they should know that, because we have free will. No one pointed to them and said, yeah, you've been assigned to this mission. That's not how it works at all. Oh, I'll tell you what I have known. Many of us aren't going to come back for a while until this planet is fully set in 5D. Many of us are going for a rest for about 400 or 500 years. I know that. As many of you know that. That's why many of you are saying, I'm not coming back. But say it with more reverence. Say it with more reverence. It's like loving a little town in the south of France, or loving a town in a little town in America, whatever. I don't give a shit. Or Japan, and leaving it because, you still want all the amenities of life. But in a way, there's a melancholy to leaving that little town. So say it with more reverence. I'm not coming back. And it should feel light, and also kind of a little knot in your heart. Not because you should feel pain, but because if you love this planet as I do, if you love this human experience, even though you have to go through the dark night of the souls, not one, but many, there's a part of you, believe me, trust me on this one, you'll miss it. Because you know that when you leave this planet, when you return, it will never be as it is. Never again. Never will it be like this. So, does that make sense? And anyway, some of the questions I'm getting are really so interesting, especially when what I'm talking about because you would think that people would like listen to something deeper to actually manifest what they want to experience. Because once you understand who you are as a light being, you know how to manifest whatever the hell you want. And if you don't get it, you know why. Me, I'm just resting. I want a warm bed and a pillow. I hear you. Me, I see a garden. I keep seeing this garden. And I'm wearing a sari. And I have friends that come visit me. And they're peacocks. And it looks like an ancient Persian garden. It's really beautiful with roses and waterfalls. I'm not saying that's where I'm going. I'm just saying that's what I don't know. I got a download once when I was at a temple meditating, and that was the download I got. So it's been an image that's been like a Polaroid shot. But hopefully that will answer the question on the chosen one. I'll have to read your reply. Yeah. Well, you can actually reply here if you don't mind. But whatever the reply is, I know for a fact. There's certain things I know is an opinion, and there's certain things I know for a fact. The way I know I'm taking my next breath. I know about the chosen one debacle and rhetoric. I know it. And us twin flames came in these incarnations for a purpose, and not just to be in union. And some, sadly, will not be in union. In fact, some did not make it, okay? In union, in the physical. In fact, at a very young age. So at a very young age, many of the broken masculine, wounded masculines actually harmed themselves out of these incarnations. So many twin flames were not able to come to union because of the false ego. I'm telling you, man, if you don't control that beast, it will harm you more than it saves you. So if you can start seeing the false ego, the monkey mind, left unchecked as a parasitic energy that needs to be trained to be a partner, and a partner says, yeah, you're going 200 miles an hour off up this mountain, it's raining and it's dark, slow down. That's the false ego's purpose. But once the monkey mind starts slaying you with rhetorics and feeding your ego, and you're having corrupted downloads of how you were a royal bloodline and all that crap, yeah, that's a problem. That's not okay. You're not on the path. I'm sorry. I'm not going to kiss your booty, because you need to understand that that's one of my missions. I'm not just here to help people with twin flames and past life regressions and hypnotherapists. I'm here to make sure that they understand the damage that the ego left unchecked can harm your ascension and your spiritual journey. Okay, one of the things I love about the teaching of Yeshua and Buddha, what did they show us? They were not tooting their own horns, my friends. They were not standing in false egoic mindsets. Okay, none of them. Not Mary Magdalena, not Mother Mary, not Krishna and Radha. You don't see that at all in those teachings. Okay, at all. Okay, so even in Taoism, Tao, it's the concept of honoring your ancestors and their right action. It's all said about right action, which is humbling and being in service to either your family lineage that you currently embody, or to the people around you that look up to you or rely on you. This is why it's so disheartening to see the leadership of the world not do their best, their very best, based on their heart chakra. There is no heart chakra in the moves they're making. And the beautiful thing about people awakening like you is that you realize that they're not doing their best for the collective. They're not doing so. That means that they're not leaders. So they are feeding their false ego, their monkey mind. They are feeling they're the chosen one, by the way, because you chose. Now us who voted for these idiots, we chose them, right? Thinking that they would, and hoping that what they were saying was true when it was just rhetoric, so they could get there. So the false ego is quite dangerous. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And so when we finally decide to vote, for example, for real leadership, you've got to connect your heart chakra to that person through your TV set, your phone screen, and meditate. I'm not being funny here. Don't vote on party stuff. Vote with your heart. Look at these people's eyes. Feel it. Would you date them? Would you want them part of your family? Would you? I mean, honestly, if you don't trust them, but you figure it's the better of two evils, again, it's your fear factor and your false ego feeding you that rhetoric that, well, this is better than nothing. No, sometimes nothing is better until something better walks in. And that's what we need to understand. And it's really important that we do this. But first, let's understand it within ourselves by realizing that we were not the chosen one. We are the volunteers. We're the ones that stepped in. Okay? Do you have any comments that you want to share that I can read to the collective? I'd love to read that. Better stated, choose one. There is wisdom in not volunteering. Yeah, that's true. But when you're on the other side, and people tell you, well, I mean, being incarnated, I mean, it's not like you haven't incarnated before, so you know how fast these lives go, right? So when they say, well, it's going to look like this, and it's what do you think? And we're like, it's just a blink in the eye. I can do that. I could do that in my sleep. Yeah, let's go in. I mean, it's like that kind of attitude. It's like, that's why people take on more than they can chew, or so they think, and they come out the other side transformed. Not everyone can, unfortunately, to be honest. Let me see, if we're lucky, we get 75 years if we're lucky. Well, I guess so, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter if you wake up a year before you die. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter if you wake up hours before you take your last breath and you say the right things to the right people in that room before you drop your body. It's not that you don't matter. It's that there's less pressure in you once you realize that the awakening is a multiple evolution. When people tell me, which God bless my mother, said, I'm done doing spiritual work. No, you're never done. you drop your body, the spiritual work continues because you're in the spirit world now. So the spiritual journey, the path, learning more and more and more as you progress from this, 3D concept of it's almost like a mental chastity belt, and then you're released from that and you go into higher realms of understanding and consciousness and dropping the levels of false ego. I could really go really deep and heavy with you guys, because when I think of the God of the Old Testament and then you connect that to Zechariah Stitchin's The 12th Planet, and there's a whole series of books that he wrote based on his translations of the Sumerian tablets. So when I look at the God of the Old Testament, I think of one of these Anunnakis that somehow hustled these poor people in thinking that they were gods when he was not. There was, and clearly, if you read it, there's a lot of negative false ego. So don't think because you're a starseed that we don't have problems with power, greed, and so forth. And there's too many starseeds that are reported having wars on the other side, on other planets and high dimensions. So the problems we have in these 3D ideas of amnesia isn't any different, except the difference in the other side of higher dimensions is we know more. Like we're more aware, which makes it even worse because we should know better. Okay? So my belief, and this is mine, you can take it or leave it. I get it. I respect you for take whatever you want to do with this, is to understand that part of the exercise of 3D is for us to have complete amnesia and to choose love, light, and to slap our ego, greed, jealousy, competition, and warring energies back. Way back. And if we can manifest that in 3D, this is not to feed your ego, but it's going to. If you can do this in 3D, you will be a badass in 6 and 7D, because at that point you're like an avatar, because that shit no longer, you're not going to play that anymore. Does that make sense? And that's part of the ascension, and that's your free will. If you want to do this work and you have volunteered to get sometimes, no offense, blown to smithereens, like your brain's been blown to smithereens because what you thought was true, the foundation collapsed. And now here you are, bereft, going, holy God, I thought this and this was true, and everything I believed in was true is gone. What do I do now? And from there, you find your tribe members, maybe just one other person that is like you, a starseed that's just gone through, or has maybe is 10 steps ahead of you, and you find them and you connect with them and you exchange books and concepts and conversations. That is probably the most important thing you can do right now. Right now is to find your tribe members. That should be, besides educating yourself, reading books, meditating on the information, getting downloads, discerning between corrupt downloads and pure downloads, all of that. Yeah, this, for some of you, it starts now. For some of us, it started a long time ago. And we're trying to share our journey with you guys, so that you, one, don't feel like you're crazy, especially if you're living in communities where you're the only one that believes in what you believe in, and you're like, it would be like a Twilight Zone moment. You'd be like, wait, hang on. I can't connect. I mean, it's like talking, it's like the Tower of Babylon, right? And I don't know why I'm coming up with all these biblical examples, because I trust me, I'm not Christian. Not that there's anything wrong with being a Christian if you actually live in that kind of light, okay? In that truth of light, not judgment, but non-judgmental, then yeah, that's wonderful being a Christian. It's like people asking, how long have you been on the twin flame journey? Millennia, exactly. Hello, how are you? I'm good. So that's what this is all about, okay? And so you must do what you feel is right for you, but I suggest that you refute this concept of being the chosen one, because it's going to take you down the rabbit hole of being your egoic self being fed and wanting more. And I've heard people literally say, I come from royal bloodlines as an Anunnaki or as a Pleiadian or as a, if you're really all that, you wouldn't even say that, because you would be humble enough not to say that. Does that make sense? When you really are in those levels of transcendental ascended masters levels, you don't see masters running around like Saint Germain or Krishna or Yeshua is saying, I come from a royal bloodline. No one talks like that on that level of consciousness. So right there, you should kind of wonder what that's about and why it's being fed to you like that. Isn't that interesting? What are your thoughts on that, guys? What do you think? Why are we seeing so many spiritual leaders, content creator who have massive, massive, massive people following them, making that one of their platform pitch? You're the chosen one. Why do you think that is? What do you think that is? Do you think that's pure downloads or corrupted downloads? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear it. Anybody want to come up? I love it. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Wow, I pushed some buttons. Fabulous. I did push some button. It's anti-unity consciousness to introduce hierarchy. Yep. That is, I'm going to repeat it again and drum in a flame, really put it in one sentence. It's anti-unity consciousness to introduce hierarchy. Right there. It's a false flag. It's a false prophet. Feeds the ego. Corrupted downloads definitely feeds the ego. Exactly. So the minute you realize that, so discern who you're going to follow. I'm going to be very blunt. Okay. I'm not asking you, I might not be your voice. Okay. That's fine. There are people who are your voice, who believe in what I believe in. Okay. And they have the tone of voice, that feeds your, like you recognize that person, right? You recognize it from the tone of their voice, from the energy or the look in their eyes. They are one of you. But make sure that they also don't spew that spiritual toxic rhetoric that's going to throw you off your path, because it will throw you off. Mark my word, it will. So it comes from a place of authenticity. It comes from a place of authenticity that is all about egoless, or slapping the ego down, or being hyper aware of the ego. And it comes from that. I just saw 555, you are my voice. Oh, you are my voice too. So thank you, Jen. So yeah, it's funny too, because some of my tribe members, we all have like auburn-like hair, all of us, many of them. And not all of them, but you know, it's weird. There's a gaggle of us. And we all have hazel eyes, different variations of hazel eyes, but we all have hazel eyes. It is the weirdest thing. I swear to God. It's like different features, clearly. But yes, Shirley, you can't be serious. I love that. Great name. So I want to thank you, you know, for being here, for listening to my little rant and rave on the chosen one, because that really triggers the fuck out of me, because I know for a fact that it's throwing people on the wrong planet. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is amazing. It's amazing. One of the other people that is a badass, besides Jen, Rachel, Tony is one of us. It's like meeting people who are embodied in different temples, right? Flesh temples, but it feels right. It feels like you've come home, you know, to the smell of baked bread and cinnamon, you know, that kind of thing. Wow, TikTok won't let any of my comments through. Well, okay. Wow, TikTok won't let any of my comments through. Lol. I just read it, so thank God. Thank God here you are. I think they're not educated enough if they're saying that. Lol, so yes, ego, but also ignorance. Yeah, but they have massive see, it's a responsibility to get on the platform and start talking. It's a big responsibility. I'm the reason you got the filter notice. Oh, okay. I'll have to look at that. Big bread and coffee. I know there's nothing like it. So, and eventually I'll bake bread. That's for sure. So, you know, if you are in various parts of the world and you're spread out and you feel like you're alone, go ahead and create your tribe, a circle of 2. It doesn't even have to be a big circle. Excuse me. It can be a circle of 3, circle of 4. Try to hit up your metaphysical stores and whatever, metaphysical stores, yoga studios. Don't be surprised with the yoga studios. And I'm going to be blunt here because, and again, I'm not going to, hopefully not offend, but you'd be surprised. You think yoga studios would want to do talks, spiritual talks, the studio is going to be closed, it's empty. and you going to the owner and saying, listen, can you once a week, could we open your studio for like 2 hours and do sound baths and talks about books and this and that? Go ahead and ask, but don't be surprised if you're rejected. Okay. I had one of my friends, he became a friend of mine, but he's a client. He was a client. And he did that. I said, go to the sound bath, whatever, yoga studio. And no one stepped up. Don't be surprised that the average human being who says they're on their spiritual path wants everything to be given to them by whoever they pay to heal them. Don't get me wrong. I have a healer who I pay every month to do healing work on me because I work with other people, right? So I want whatever energy I haven't been able to disentangle myself from to be disentangled, right? Because she's able to do that. But I'm not asking her to clean my chakras. It's like me asking her remotely to give me a shower. It's ridiculous. So there's certain things that you must do on your own. Now, when you go to a Reiki master, they can actually levitate their hands, scan their hands above your body and feel blockages in various parts of your body, and they can pull shit out. And it's like a drain that's plugged, that constantly needs to be uprooted. If you'll find yourself having to go once a month, which is not a bad idea. However, you have to work on your blockages, which is all your chakras. You have to work on your etheric field. You have to clean it. You have to surround yourself with light. You have to surround yourself and give permission to your light beings so they can walk beside you like bodyguards, if you will. Because you might sit in a meditation and think that you're having a wonderful download, and you may not be, how do I put it, self-aware yet of discerning between a corrupted download and a light download, a true download, a pure download. Does that make sense? Can you talk a little in depth about Reiki? I've just had 2 sessions. Well, the first thing I know for a fact, because I was a Reiki master, I say I was because I'm in practice. And what I can say to you is that I've met people who weren't Reiki at all, who had power. So typically what happens is when you feel the energies of their hands grazing above you, you should feel, wherever there's a problem, you're going to feel heat at the bottom of your palms, number one. And your hands might actually have electromagnetic currents coming out of it, like sharp electricity. It feels like, and you can do it on your own. You can actually put your palms, like I'd say 1 inch, 2 inches apart, and you'll feel the electric current coming out of your palms. It's very simple. So when you have a true Reiki master healer, you're going to feel energy lighten. You're going to actually feel it. This is not about you gaslighting yourself and going, oh yes, I guess I'm benefit. No, it's not I guess. You'll know. You'll go, oh fuck. It's a boom. And I've been with Reiki masters who didn't know shit. Rachel is studying, and Jen is a Reiki master, by the way. So, yeah. Jen is a Reiki master. And so I know without meeting, I know for a fact that she's got power out of her hands. I know that because she's a very highly psychic, intuitive human being. So when somebody like that comes at you with their hands grazing over your body, without touching you, without not putting hand to flesh, okay, I kid you not, you will feel it. If you feel nothing, there is nothing. Don't start making it up in your head. Don't make it fit, okay? That means that Reiki master is either not, come on, D. How do I say? I'm not going to say, they're not, they don't have it, okay? They just don't have it. And so find another one. It's like finding a good talk therapist or a good hypnotherapist. You got to just keep going until you find someone. And so does that answer your question? Hopefully. So if you're not being blown away and feeling like buggy-eyed and going, holy fuck, I feel like, then that's not it. I have a friend who's incredibly talented with Qigong. And I was having major migraines when I was in my, when I was 45, 46. Like you wouldn't believe. I was being upgraded. I didn't know that at the time. But I remember I'm standing in line at a Noah's Bagel. And she literally, now she was a touching healer. She is a touching healer. And she put her hand on the third eye and on my third eye, and then the back, the other hand on the back of my cranial, where the cranial meets the back of the neck muscle, just held it together. And I just felt like the universe was blasting through me. And then it was like a vortex, and it went, whoosh, and it was gone. I was like, holy shit, you're fucking amazing. So she wasn't trained in Qigong classically in the way you would say. She was born with it. You know, many of you are born and you bring in your skill sets with you. Psychic surgery is cool, but people need to daily chakra work themselves. Exactly. My twin saved my life using Reiki. I believe it. I believe it. Yes, thank you. I've had some pretty impressive feelings and circumstances happen after my session. Beautiful. I got stung by a bee camping. I'm deathly allergic. It was insane. I still can't believe this happened, to be honest. Yes, you know, and there's power there. And that's why I tell people, and this is not to do with Shannon's comments here, but there are people that are incredibly psychic, incredibly powerful, telepathic, remote viewers, and they're intense. Their trajectory is still in the dark. It's still in the dark. Be discerning. Be discerning. Because just because someone has all these skill sets, okay, but their philosophical egoic framework is fucked up, dark, that doesn't mean you put your trust into their hands. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by there's multiple levels to discernment. Does that make sense? Okay. What could it mean when your head is literally vibrating, pulsing, plus crazy headaches? You're being upgraded. Oh, that definitely about me and my twin is dark. Yeah, I didn't want to, I know. It means you're being upgraded, Rachel. Because I, in my 40s, one particular day for damn near, I think it was in 2008. I remember because my son was 8. I had like third eye. The pain was unbelievable. It was so bad I couldn't even see. Like I couldn't open my eyes for more than, I don't know, 5 minutes. And he kept, and it was so sweet because he was only 8. And he kept saying, "Mommy's third eye." And he kept kissing my third eye. And I was in bed for like 3-4 days. So it was in 2008. So that is a sign that I hate to say, but sometimes they have to do some, like you said, Andromeda flame, psychic, surgical work, if that, you know what I mean? So you can open up even more. Yeah. Rachel told you upgrades, exactly. So that I've been talking, we have been talking to you. Elena, I have tons of videos on some of the things, but I'm not, sweetie, I don't answer people's comments that are personal like that because I have no idea why. I'm not going to make it up here. I'm not tapping into you. I'm sure there's some people that can do a reading for you like this on the spot. Personally, me, I would never do that. Just like I wouldn't go to a brain surgeon on a Zoom, you know, where he's having a robot, you know, open and scalpel my whatever, using scalpels on my brain remotely using Zoom, using a robotic technology. I want to meet the person, you know, I want to talk to them. I want to hear their voice. I want to see their birthdays. There's all kinds of things I want to do before I start answering a question of why is this person running? Because the ultimate reason of runners, I do a lot of videos on that, so you can look at it. It's for free, and whichever one resonates is the reason. Hopefully you'll be honest enough to sit with that and go, wait, hang on, that's why he's running or she's running. But if you don't know why, right? You honestly are bereft, like you're like absolutely clueless, like what the fuck just happened? Then why is this happening to that level of ignorance, you know, or denial? Then that's where people like me come in, and I do readings for that. Does that make sense? So let me see. Yeah. So yeah, thank you. So that's my take on that. Any questions or any comments or shares of what you're going through right now that could help the collective? Because starseeds, most twin flames are starseeds, I'm finding out to be true. I did thank you, Elena. That's very sweet. Thank you. Hearts back to you. I appreciate it. Many starseeds are twin flames. When I do hypnotherapy sessions, I see that coming up a lot organically. It's really amazing, actually, how beautiful that is to find out. And I've told many of you some of my past lives as a starseed. One of them I will tell you is the first time I realized I was a star, meaning I had been born on another planet. I was not a humanoid species. It's really, I think sometimes our spirit And our guides know that for us, the most palatable thing for us to see ourselves as incarnations are as humanoid-like species, something we can recognize, like an elfin or like a yellow man or a red woman. It's still a woman. It still has a nose, two eyes, and so forth. Even a mermaid-like creature or what have you. Well, in this particular past life that I started remembering, I was on the beaches in Santa Monica, Malibu, Santa Monica. My husband and my son were playing in the ocean, you know, and I was laying on a towel on the beach, and the sun felt so good on my face. Oh my God, you know how the sun feels and you're on sand. And I closed my eyes, of course, to really absorb it. And boom, I was on another planet with two moons, very dark, beautiful, very beautiful planet with waters that glimmered, you know, silver sheen. And I was like a sloth. I was not a humanoid. I was a sentient being. I was fully conscious. And the moon felt as good, the coolness of the moon felt as good to my skin as my human skin felt good with the sun. This went on for 15 minutes. I kept opening my eyes and going, wow, closing my eyes. And then here I was as the sentient being on this planet, feeling so good beneath the moon and the peace and the silence. And boom, back. Well, guess what? This happened probably in 2010. Yeah, 2010. 13 years ago, thereabouts. And one day I'm watching a show on YouTube before Sasha Stone was banned by YouTube because he was a real advocate against COVID and so forth and the lockdowns and all that. But there was a show about various sentient beings, and there I was. I wish I had saved the show on my YouTube. You know how you save shows? Well, all of the shows were deleted, obviously, because once they ban you, all your shit is gone with it. But I saw what I had been in that life, and I can't remember the bloody name, but there was a name to it. It is a recognized, and they actually float. These sentient beings float around in the like asteroids. They float in space like asteroids. So that was interesting. So I'm wondering if that was one of my incarnations billions of years ago. And then, of course, one of the past lives, one of my favorites actually, is the one where we're yellow beings. Me and my twin, we're yellow species, like pale yellow skin, right? The pale yellow of a lemon, in that level of color, and we've got white hair, blonde, white brows, same aquiline features you would see, gold eyes, white lashes, the whole bit, right? And beautiful in our own ways, you know. And here he is under a what appears to be orchid, a lang lang tree type of thing, and he's cross-legged nude, and he's meditating. And he was a lone wolf then, and he is still the lone wolf, trying to find self-realization on his own. That has been his battle in many of these incarnations, trying to find his autonomous self-realization direct through source alone, and refusing to ever be part of the collective group to come to realization. And that has been a problem throughout the incarnations that we've had apart and together. And that is something that I think he's mastering in this incarnation, to understand the lone wolf and to also go back into the collective group and to dip in and to dip out when he wants and to dip back in, because there's value in the group. There is. Okay? And that's what we all need to understand. Does that make sense? Oh, that's so sweet. So after my recent download goes, God does not taste the same. Good or God? Here, let me go back in order. I started my spiritual journey this summer, but really it's been a journey of self-love. Beautiful, Shirley. Just wanted to say thank you. I don't have a twin flame, but I'm learning a lot about me from you. Oh, that's awesome, Double T. After my recent download, God. I think you're saying God, but I'm not sure what I hope you're, okay, does not taste the same. I hope it tastes better. There's a beautiful line in Krishna that says, I am the taste of water. Thanks for sharing. Food, not good. Oh, food. Yeah, well, you're going to probably have to grow your own food. Because if you're in this country, if you live in America, the food, I don't know if you guys have ever lived in Europe, but even the raspberries in Europe, it's like a perfume. You smell it from, it's raspberry perfume. And then it explodes in your mouth. And then apricots just smell unctuous. Everything, you can smell things. And of course, smell starts the conversation with the palate and the mind, right? And then you taste, and it should explode in your mouth. And honestly, shit doesn't taste right. Just want to say, oh, thank you, Elena. Yes, it was like that in Colombia too. Oh, you mean you didn't like food in Colombia? I don't know what they're doing in Colombia. I know that Monsanto has a huge arm, and it was banned in Europe, most of Europe, I believe. Right, Baron? Was it banned in Monsanto? It was banned in Europe. So a lot of this garbage that was going to eradicate flavors from food, unfortunately, is here. So it's difficult. Thank you, Elena. It's so sweet. Sending love to all of you. So any shares? Because my twin and I were plasmic beings on an Andromeda floating city. That's pretty interesting. I'd love to hear more about what you look like as plasmic beings. No, the food was very pure. Ah, yes. Even if it's not a twin flame, we should try to love like them. The world would be a better place. Yeah. Well, that's what we're working on. And that's why we're seeing such incredible challenges on this other second topic, which I'm going to bring up, which is the concept in spirituality that's been abused, is the concept that polarity. So a lot of spiritualists will tell you that we need polarity, that war is part of the polarity to explain away violence and the kind of violence that we see, right? And so spiritualists, because they can't really, I don't know, I don't even know if they really truly believe this bullshit, but maybe they do. Maybe that's the only way they can live through it. But I don't believe it. So here's what I don't believe it. The polarity of these wars that we've had for, thousands of years. The polarity of evil to this level of evil. The polarity of, I'm not going to list the crap because I don't want to incite triggers within each and every one of you. So I think you get the picture, right? Like massive, massive, massive evil, right? Perpetuated on children and so forth. You get the drift. Okay, that in the spiritual community, not all, but many spiritualists say that this is necessary in the polarity of this earth. Bullshit. I call bullshit. Because we don't have to believe in it anymore. I'll give you a polarity that we all can digest. The polarity of jealousy. The polarity of love. The polarity of abundance. The polarity of lack. The polarity of greed. The polarity of, but within the constraints of that circle that doesn't then denigrate itself to the levels of war and taking people's lives. Okay? So that's exactly where we have to draw the line. How much polarity are we allowing? Does that make sense? And there are planets literally who live like that. There is, in fact, one of the planets that I talk about in one of my hypnotherapy videos, if you've seen it, is this, and I didn't say this, but I'll share that with you. It's like a side note. This person was in a blue planet where everyone was blue. And gender was, you could change gender at will. Kind of like salamanders. Kind of like, the movie you guys should watch is called Orlando. Come to think of it. It's the movie Orlando with, what is the person's name? You'll see a redheaded woman with a dark hair. Here, let me see if I can find it. The movie is called Orlando. You should watch it. But anyway, on this blue planet, you can change gender at will. If you want to be a woman, because it's going to balance out the system, the energetic system of the collective, and being a woman would be better for the collective, then you can make yourself a woman. I swear to God, that was the planet. And I remember she telling me, and you were in that planet, Tony. I knew you even then. And I remember the client saying, and I decided to come to planet Earth, and a portal opened. And I went through the portal. Now, I'm going to tell you why that was incredible. That particular part, I just got chills. Is that when I did an Akashic reading for Akashic, my twin always corrects me. I say Akashic, it's Akashic. But anyway, and I did an Akashic record for a client. And she was coming from 7th Z. She was definitely one of these high-level starseeds. And she was forming. She was one of the 108,000 souls coming into be a founder of Atlantis. And she went, I saw it. She went through a portal. And this was before I had the session with this other client on the blue planet. And that was really interesting to me. So apparently there are portals, and you guys have all heard about it for since you were babies, right? that portals open and you go into different dimensions. And so that's what in this blue planet, she had decided, I'm going to go into Earth. There's things I need to learn. I can't learn here. I can't. Why? Because it was too fucking peaceful. There was no issues. There's no polarity. There were trees, there were woods, there was forest, there was moss, there was rivers, there were rocks. People were happy. There were villagers. There were other tribe members in other areas. There was no problem. No one was fighting each other. There was an abundance. We didn't really hang with each other, with other people, not really, because we liked each other. We didn't need outside, attention, I guess. I don't know. We had everything we needed right there in our little circle. Different universe, yeah. So, also, can you speak on how plant medicine has an impact on spirituality? Well, yes, I can. So, and I'd love to. Thank you for asking. I love that question because it's one of my favorite topics. So, when you go and you, like, for example, psilocybin is finally being taken seriously by the professional medical community in helping people with PTSD and so forth. And because it has mushrooms, if you've ever seen a fungi, the documentary, I believe it's called Fungi. But anyway, it's about the proliferation of mushrooms throughout the underground of every millimeter of our planet Earth. Without it, we're fucked, literally, because it does a lot of beautiful healing work, constantly cleaning bullshit, okay? When there were the spills up in the east, I think it was Philadelphia, or I forgot exactly where, but there was a major toxic spill. I believe it was last year. And there were people who understood what mushrooms to actually put right there on the river to let it grow, to eat up that shit. Okay, so now let's talk about plant medicine on the human brain. Because, see, I've just illustrated how it can heal the earth and how it does. And without it, we would collapse. Okay, so now let's go into this incredible, magnificent 3D brain that is malleable, that is constantly ever evolving, that is not cemented. Can you imagine we used to think the brain was cemented to 25? Wow. Okay, so when you take psilocybin, you are dealing with an energy, a spirit. And this particular spirit, or collective, it's a collective spirit group from my experience and from what I've heard other people experience. And this... It cleans your brain. The same cleaning I said about toxic rivers, you put mushrooms out with these toxic things, these toxic fumes or oils that are spilled in rivers, and mushrooms can actually eat it up and clean it up. In a way, that's what mushrooms do with the human mind. It actually cleans up these toxic bits, these toxic sectors that have been left dormant. And these dormant sectors you brought in like some scars, aka impressions from other lives. Some of the issues of shame and sexual shame and trauma that you carry with you are from a past life in a very strict religious rhetoric situation that kept you bound. If you ever read the book Carrie by Stephen King, read the book. Don't watch the movie. Read the book. If you want to really understand the mind fuck that can happen within a short period of time on a human brain when someone else is like spewing religious rhetoric and shaming someone and damn near destroying their soul, okay? So when you have psilocybin, it kind of eats it up without you knowing. And you'll have visions. You'll have, as you know, obviously, you're going to have what they call hallucinations. I call actually conference calls with spirits, okay? They're more like conference calls, like a Zoom call. And so psilocybin is something that you can do, as you well know, at home, alone. But make sure you sage and you offer sacred space to yourself, and make sure you call on protection while you go into these journeys. You must do that, okay? When you do ayahuasca, it is a feminine presence. There isn't a person alive yet who really took ayahuasca, because I know when they haven't taken, I don't know what the fuck they were given, but I know it was an ayahuasca, because when it's ayahuasca, they all say one thing: it was a woman. It was a feminine presence of divine love, unconditional love. And depending on where you are mentally in your own journey, if you're lying to yourself, the divine feminine presence will give you free will to choose not to handle your business. Meaning, if you don't want to see what happened to you with your mother, your father, the this, the that, whatever the hell it is, then she'll step away. but you're not going to get all the benefits. You need to cannonball into it. And so for me, she taught me unconditional love, because how can you give yourself unconditional love if you've never actually tasted the flavor in many incarnations, especially when you're bereft and you're no longer connected to source, God energy, and it's been a while and you're homesick for not only the places that made you feel good on different planets and made you feel loved and seen, but also being away from the final, the original homeland, and homes that you've incarnated in that no longer are, places, ancient sites, ancient homes that you lived here on this planet and other planets. There's always a perpetual feeling in the heart chakra of empathic people of feeling homesick. That's what it is. And it doesn't leave you. You just learn how to walk with it. But so ayahuasca is probably the most gentle journey, believe it or not, that you can have. The second one that's really, it will kick your ass from here to Hong Kong, is bufo. It's called frog medicine, and you smoke it. And that one does not fucking give a fuck what you want, what your agenda is. It will not give you a choice. It will slam you right out, and it's an egoic death because you're literally separating. You're having a separation between the ego, the monkey mind, and the soul. There's a definite separation, and you connect with your higher your higher soul and source. And it is and somatically it can be it is something that fries the circuit board of your body for a good reason. Don't ever do this shit alone. Never. Because you can stop breathing. Not because it's going to make you, because you are so becoming so transcendental that the usual normal idea of just breathing, how you don't even think about breathing, it stops. And that's why it's not safe to do it alone. Not bufo. And then finally, San Pedro. Those are the three I've done. And the mushroom I've done as well. But the San Pedro is the grandfather medicine, cacti, peyote, and it's activated by the sun, which is beautiful. And it's interesting because what it does, I'll give you a story that happened to me and my little shaman sister. And so you're not allowed to talk when you take it. You take it, you go out in the sun. And I remember looking at the sun and going, holy shit. And I saw the sun as it really was, which was ever-evolving lotus petals, blooming, ever blooming. It just kept spilling new blooms. And the colors were violet and green and gold and deeper violets and lilacs. And it was unbelievable. It was all these colors. And I turned to her and I would go, holy fuck, do you see the sun? She goes, yeah, lotus flowers. I went, holy, you're seeing what I'm seeing? So it was not a hallucination. We were actually seeing the same exact sun. We started describing it back and forth. Facilitators hushed us, and we couldn't stop. We were whispering because we wanted to make sure that what we were seeing as it was happening wasn't our own individual experience, but was the experience of what the sun truly looked like. It still blows my mind. And that was true for our experience. That doesn't mean that that's how you're going to see the sun, by the way, because I don't know what your soul from being made millions of years ago would see, honestly. But for whatever reason, I did the journey with this little shaman girl who was like, she looked like my daughter. We looked exactly alike. I'm not joking. And we did the ayahuasca together. We did the bufo together, and we did the San Pedro together. So it's very possible that we were both from the same cloth. Does that make sense? And we had met for this journey. Oh, you welcome, Andromeda. I slept in until noon, to be honest. Yes, is this a background on TikTok? Because I feel like I can focus, listen better with similar... Yes, it is a background on TikTok. You can actually look it up, okay? So yeah, you can look it up, and it can... I know other people have made this background. Their background. So feel free. And I agree. I get distracted. I don't really like to see people talk, to be honest with you. In fact, It distracts me. And you know what? I was watching a woman who was doing. She's very much pro Palestine, this and that, and pro people. Pro. Here, I'm gonna put it a different way. She's pro humanity. What an idea! Anyway, she's got the most. And I admit, she has the most beautiful eyes I've freaking ever seen. Never seen eyes like that. They're like pale green. The only person that had eyes like that was my mother. Okay, she had eyes like that. And this woman is on with, I don't know, like 600 people, talking and blah, blah, blah. And every other person was saying, I just think your eyes are so beautiful. I just think it's great. It's great. Okay. Thanks for the compliment. I could tell she was getting irritated. You know what I mean? She was not, she's not about that. Clearly, believe me, trust me. She's a really humble woman, very good woman, very beautiful woman, and humble about it too. Very humble. But she wasn't about that. But, she puts her face out there. And, but it was very distracting to like read all the comments, And then I noticed, like, I have another friend who I adore. I'm not going to say her name here because I don't want her to be tracked down because of what I'm about to say. And she's been bullied. She's been bullied of how she looks. So, can you imagine the balls, right? So I'm I'm very private, but I also know that I love audiobooks and I really listen better if I'm not distracted. And I find that I like to hear things as I'm doing things sometimes because I have no choice. I have to multitask. And so I feel that when people hear your voice, they can hear the truth or the lies behind the voice. There are some voices that I feel like it's like nails on a chalkboard, and I cannot listen to them. I remember taking a college class, and I on the second day, I went, I can't fucking do this. I walked out of the class. I can't listen to this. I can't. I can't do this. I'm not. I guess I'm not going to pass because I'm not taking this class. I can't handle it. I'll have to wait till next semester because I can't do this. So I'm very, very sensitive to sounds. I'm a Taurus. I have small ears, and I like happy sounds. I like good sounds. I don't like people. I just don't like people with grady or whiny voices or. One of the things I first loved about my husband and my twin is their voices, very masculine, very beautiful voices, very sensual voices. And, so for me, voices. And I can also tell if I'm a person psychic by hearing their voice. I don't need to see a picture of a person to know that because I hear through their voice, I can hear where their nervous system's at. And if they're too fragile or they feel like unhinged, I won't take them on. I'm not their psychic. I'm not their I'm not their person. I'm not going to do it. It's not worth the karma. So it's interesting how you picked up on that the voice and this beautiful space, because this is our home. This is where we originally were made, somewhere out there. And it's funny too, because I love planetariums. Is that what you call them when you go and see planets? I love that. Like I could go once a week. If there was a place like that next to me, I'd be going once a week. Just to get on these fat chairs and just be tilted back and look at the ceiling. And that's like my idea of a good time. Okay. It's like, your husband is not your twin. Did I hear that right? My husband passed, my love. My husband passed. So my husband is passed. He's still my high level soulmate, and my twin is my twin. My twin is with me. And it's been a long journey. It's been a journey that started when I was 18 years old, and it's been and he was 33. Big age difference. Me and my high level soulmates were the exact same age. In fact, I was 2 months older than him. And it's very confusing, these things. So technically, I'm a woman who's loved two men and still do. I still love my high-level soulmate who passed. Still love him. I still talk to him in my meditations. Honestly, both of these men were the most beautiful men I've ever met. Seriously, physically. I mean, like physically. Yeah, you will. No, it's all good. He is actually with his twin. So he was able to connect with his twin on the other side. And you know who told me that? My son. My son said, Dad's with his twin. I went, really? Yep. I went, huh. So I sat with that, and it felt right. It felt good. I felt light. So, yeah. Yeah. So men, women out there, yeah, you can love more than one person. In like literally in one incarnation. You can, and there's no guilt to it. It's not confusing in the way that I don't want you to think I was confused by it. It's a choice. You have to make a choice. Who are you destined to be with for the, you know? So to be fair, I was with my husband 33 years, and I've been with my twin for 10. And we were in separation for 3 of those 10 years. He keeps saying 2.5 years. I keep saying 3, because we had little separations, a week here, not 8 days there, you know, whatever. But I'm going to say 3 because I like round numbers, and I prefer 3 over 2. So for 3 years out of 10, we've been in separation, and we had to be ground to dust. Our egos had to be ground to dust. I had to step fully in my mission, which I finally am stepped into. And I can tell you that every step I took revealed the next piece of the puzzle of the mission. So when people are sitting on their sideline going, when's my mission coming? It's like, that's not how it works. Your first mission is whatever has you passionately launching into something that you are crazy about, that you are, it could be something of righting the wrongs of an injustice. A lot of creators have been creating content for what's happening with the Palestinian people. That's the first step of their mission. And they may become religious advocates. They may become spiritual advocates. It may transmute itself to them becoming healers or leaders. You never know. You know what I'm saying? And so for them, that's the beginning. It could be the beginning, right? The first step. For you, it could be something like buying some crystal bowls for sound bath, or buying a shaman drum, or frequency wands, or taking a Reiki class and saying, you know what, I want to be a Reiki master. I want to do this. So it's not waiting for your mission to reveal itself. Is you stepping in. And each step reveals one more piece of that puzzle. And that's how it works, because you're not ready for the whole big picture. It might be too overwhelming. If somebody came up to you and said, you will be a global leader that will have 100 million people following you, it could scare the fuck out of you. And you'll go, yeah, I don't think so. You got to, I'm out, right? So it could be, right, that is your path. You know, one of you, it could be, that actually could be the message for one of you. But that's not the point. The point is for you to step into that mission one step at a time, and each thing is revealed. It's like a train. You know, you get on a train and you're going from Switzerland to Paris, and the world reveals itself as the train moves forward, and you see cows, and then you see a little train station. You stop and you see people getting on and off, and these are people coming in and out of your life, and the train starts again, and then you see these beautiful mountains and snow-capped, and you're seeing somebody hang gliding, and the train stops at another little train station. It's an hour stop, so you get off the train, you have a beautiful lunch, you meet these people from England, and then it was wonderful, and you get back on the train. That's just how that's how life is. And so the journey reveals each adventure as it's supposed to unravel. You don't get the whole, you know, it's like you're not going to get the end of the book before you've begun reading it. Let's put it that way. Yeah, imposter syndrome is when you actually think you're the doer. So the best thing for you to do is actually say, I am a conduit. I'm the Pony Express. I always use the term Pony Express because it's like being a mailman, right? The Pony Express. And the Pony Express, what happens with that? Well, the Pony Express has letters that are addressed with addresses, and there's names, and the letter content of the letters. You don't know what the fuck who wrote the letters. You figure, right? But the letters are private. You didn't read the letters, right? So those are messages, right? So the Pony Express is you get on your horse and you ride and you deliver the letters without judgment. And so when you realize that you are the delivering of messages and not the doer, the writer, the addresser, or of these letters, then there's no problem, because now you're the conduit. And your job at this point is to be the least corrupted conduit as you can be, which means you don't let your ego step in and start corrupting the messages with your own agenda. And, you know, and you got to I call myself on my bullshit constantly. And my son calls me out on my bullshit constantly. So does my twin. If you don't have people around you not calling you on your bullshit, either you're walking on water, or I don't know, you find yourself a petty tyrant. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay, so listen, I gotta go. I gotta get my head together for a reading I'm doing. And I want to thank you again. If you'd like, I will go ahead and post this on my YouTube channel. It's Sacred Intimacy Tarot. You guys, again, the chosen one, you got to really understand what this is about. I got called my BS last night. You are loved and you are blessed. Blessings on that. Yeah, I have a lot of BS, believe me. Yes, upload. So I'll upload this so you guys can listen to it. Please share this particular video with anyone that has imposter syndrome, that think they're the chosen one, that is eating that bullshit. It's like crap cake. Not crab cake, crap cake. And you do not want people to eat that because it'll make them sick. So make sure to share that with people. Or don't share the video. Just understand how to pitch it so you can pitch it in your own words and like debunk the chosen one bullshit rhetoric. And then explain to them why they're badasses. You're not a chosen one. Dude, you stepped in. Everyone else stepped back and went, yeah, I'm not doing this shit. 21st century Ascension? Hell no, I'm not going. Good luck. Let us know how you're doing. You guys stepped up. We did, all of us. And that's badass, okay? All right, my loves. Send you much love on your journey. Feel free to leave any comments you want. My book, Recall, is for sale on my TikTok shop. My book, Recall, is also online on Amazon.com. Anyone who's reading the book and really likes it, please leave me a 5-star on Amazon.com. That would really, really make me happy. And if you could write an actual review, like not just put 5-star, but like say why you like the book or why you think it's valuable. And then if any of you want to do a Zoom book club thing, I'll be more than happy to come, of course, for free. Like, why would I charge you? You bought the damn book already. And the book is $11.11 on Amazon. And on TikTok shop, it's $14.40. 144. Just so you know. And if you know, you know. All right? All right, my loves. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. Bye-bye. Zoom book club. Yay! Yes. Goodbye. Take